Looking on the bench, we see we have got several different brands of dies, but it's very conspicuous that we only have one green set. And this green set happens to be Reading dies, and they're the first dies I ever bought. Well, in the process of learning how to do this, I stuck a case. And what sticking a case means is just about what it sounds like. You get a case stuck in a die you can't pull out. Called the company. They said, "Oh yes, we see these things all of the time. Just send us the die, we'll unstick it for you. We'll take care of that, no problem." Alright, well, along with that, I guess they couldn't get it unstuck, or maybe they just found it was better to do, but they sent me a replacement die. And along with my replacement die came a bill. That I wasn't expecting. So, although they have quality dies, I don't particularly like the way I was treated in that particular transaction, because they said nothing about sending me a bill. In fact, they indicated that they'd unstick it for free. And when they resolved my issue, it came at a cost to me. So I was just a little bit disappointed. Not in that I don't take responsibility for my own actions, but I just don't like surprises. Still, good quality die. Now, this is a 3-die rifle set. And what we have is a bullet seating die, which every die set's got to have, because that crimps in and sets your die, your bullet to your case. And then we have 2 other dies. And what these do are unique to their particular function. So here's a piece of brass. It's a shouldered piece of brass, 270 Winchester. This is the case, the body, the shoulder, and the neck. When you fire a cartridge, the gases expand the brass. And with every expansion and contraction, whenever you crimp it back down, you weaken and work the brass, and the brass can change dimensions, get a little bit longer on you as it kind of thins out. But if you shoot like a bolt action or a break action, like an Encore or a Mauser action, something like that, you can actually fire this, and this will get used to your gun. It will fit your gun. It will expand perfectly. Now, if you have some sort of other type of operation on a brass, lever action, clip, some sort of clip-fed type of non-bolt action where you're going through a mechanism, you may want to set them completely back to factory. But for bolt actions and break actions, you can actually work your brass by operating only on the neck to resize this so it will accept a bullet. That's what this die does. It decaps, meaning it knocks the primer out, but it's a collet die, and it has a mandrel in there, and what it does is it crimps only in the neck portion of the case. It leaves this untouched. It does not resize that. Now, if you shoot a semi-automatic, you probably want to use a full-size die, and what this one does is it does decap much the same way, knocking the primer out, but it sizes the entire case all the way up and down, as well as the shoulder and the neck. It repositions the entire case, reforms it. This one is a collet die, neck sizing only. This one resizes the entire brass. But as you resize the entire brass, you certainly have to lube your case, else it will stick on you. If you have a neck sizing die, because it's a collet, it compresses around, the collet compresses around that mandrel. It's a different type of action. You don't always have to oil your cases, which just simply means you don't have to clean them back up. Here is a 3-die rifle set, much different than the Reading, but not just because of the brand, but because of the type of case it is. This is a Hornady custom grade 450 Marlin set. And one of the things I want to point out is, see, a 450 brass is the same thing in general shape and contour of, let's say, a 4570. But when they made the 4570, it was an old style rim type of old cartridge. This is a belted case. It's not belted because it needs to be belted for magnum purposes, because the pressures it operates on is much less than, say, like a 300 Win Mag or something like that. But it's a straight case, and when you have straight cases, you have a different operation you need to perform. Well, I can get you to this. This is a simple decapping and expanding die. This sizes the body of it and gets it just about perfect, like this. This particular die is required. This is called an expander. And what it does is in the center of that dude, there's like a little tapered piece. And what it does is it flares, it expands and flares the neck of this case. It particularly expands it a little bit in here, just the tiniest bit over dimension, and will flare this piece that's very rim so it's easy to get a bullet to go in. Then we have this one, which is the bullet seating die. So this basically sizes and decaps. This one expands and flares. This one is required because it seats the bullet. So while we had in the Redding set two different types of sizing dies, one that sized the neck only, one that sized the full body, this we have to size the full body. This one, because it has no neck, it's a shoulderless case, it's all a straight case, we have to flare it a little bit to keep the bullet from just continuing to push straight on in. Also, this one, when it seats it, it also roll crimps, and I'll show you what a roll crimp is opposed to just a regular friction set. Okay, this is a 450 Marlin bullet. Now, 450 Marlin, like a 45-70, is a tube-fed or cowboy action type of bullet. Now, this is not configured to go in a lever action gun because the point of this would line up with the primer on the back, and you can see that's probably not a real good idea when your gun goes off if you have pointy tips of bullets pointing on the primers of other bullets sitting in the tube of your gun. But this is in fact made for a single shot rifle, so there's no hazard at it. So I'm able to use this Spitzer Barnes. Now, what a roll crimp does is if we chase up this finished cartridge, we go up the very last little bit, you see the edge, just the tiniest little bit of edge, and I'll rotate it hoping the camera will pick that up, is crimped into the bullet. That's what a roll crimp is. It just rolls that last little bit of edge up against the bullet. So we've got a pretty tight friction fit anyway here, like we would in the 270 Winchester, but it crimps just the tiniest little bit there. That's a roll crimp. Now, you'll notice this little piece I haven't mentioned before, and that's because that particular device is a collet for my Hornady bullet puller. This is a little cam action device, and what it works like any other collet. You squeeze down on something, but it is caliber specific. It has a range. So I have a collet for 308, basically 30 caliber stuff. I keep it here in its little box. What's in here is the 270 one, that one around that size, and this one particularly is the 45 because it's with my 45 caliber dies. It's just an easy way to keep up with it. The remaining piece that all of them will have is this thing right here called the shell holder, and that does exactly what it sounds like. It holds the shell.